Man Cave Monday!
Let's get it started. We got a wild one today. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Man Cave Monday podcast. I got a few good folks here with me. I got Daze with me. I got Dre with me. I got Tez with me. I got Ness with me. And Dex should be here any minute. And so, welcome back, everybody. This is our 10th episode. We are officially in double digits now. Woo!
We have reached the Jokic verse. We are in the Jokic verse. Double digit numbers.
Saying? Double digits now. So
yes, sir.
Big things going on. And we're going to pick up where we left off last pod. So if you did not see last pod, you should probably go back and check that out. And so we're picking up right where we left off. And so last pod, there was a lot of people getting cut off. People felt very passionately about some of the things that Steve Harvey said on Club Shay Shay. And so we are picking right back there because that was a wild episode and everyone was cutting each other off. And I didn't even really get to go last time because everybody was just, hey, oh no, I'm going to say this. No, wait, hold on. I know what you say. I'm going to let you finish, but hold on. I just want to, and so everybody was jumping in. And so it made me think of a lot of things because realistically what was happening was it sparked a conversation less about what Steve Harvey was talking about and more about the type of people that we deal with in relationships. And so that brought me to the question of relationships. And so what I want to ask is, and we'll hopefully we can all answer is, what does it take to make someone your significant other? What do you have to see in someone to make them your significant other? This is actually on our topic list that we've been curating for a long time. But since that Steve Harvey stuff had us all debating and cutting each other off, I said, oh, maybe this is the time to finally bring it about. And so that's our first topic of the day. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to start with that. So I'll start by explaining one of the reasons I've had this on the topic list for a while. And that reason is because I think last episode made that clear. So rather, I should say, I think this is what made me feel like we're ready to talk about it. I think that last episode, there was a lot of conversation of what Steve Harvey's views were versus what other people's views were on the pod. And what is it that we feel people should or should not bring to the table? Is that a conversation that should or should not happen? I said, oh, so really what we're discussing now is what makes someone worthy or what do we need to see in someone for them to become our significant other. And so I asked that because hearing your guys' responses, especially last pod, made me feel like, oh, maybe I'm fucking up. Maybe I'm looking for too specifics. Maybe I'm looking for someone to be a power couple with as opposed to someone who just likes me enough to return my text messages and not I'm just being honest. Maybe I'm looking for too much.
It was the tone. No, it was the tone.
Okay, because I'm just saying, like, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm looking for too much. And that's possible. I don't know, right? And so that's why one of the reasons I like this platform, right? Because we can all chime in and say, this is what I think, this is what I feel, this is what I look for, this is what I don't. You know, I'm not, based on what you guys were saying last pod, it seemed to me like, oh, maybe people have different views because I am looking for someone who can bring things to the table. I'm willing to have that conversation. I don't think there's anything wrong with having that conversation. And I think that in order to have a relationship, we both got to know what we're looking for. And so I'm looking for today more of a partnership and less of let's get together and put pictures on Instagram when we go out to brunch, which is what I see a lot of people looking for. And so I'm looking for someone who I can be a partner with. And I mean, a partner for real, like what we were talking about last time when Dre was saying, hey, even if it's business, you got a shovel, well, then that's our shovel. That was the example Dre gave last episode. And so that's how I'm looking at it. Like, okay, so if they're trying to build a private practice of whatever, you know, they're doing some telehealth type shit. Okay, so we're doing telehealth. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it like if I'm with someone, whoever it is that's my significant other, then that's what we are doing. It's no longer about her specific goal. I'm looking to help her. Okay, she's building a telehealth situation. Okay, then I'm helping her. Oh, we need you need a space. That means we need a space. And so we are actively searching for a space to build, I guess, a call center for you and your other staff members to do telehealth. Oh, I'm doing stuff with Body Butters. Okay, well then you should be there with me, putting on labels, helping learn the recipe, putting packages out. Maybe you're dropping stuff at the post office, but maybe I'm looking for the wrong stuff. I don't know. And so maybe that's what it is, and maybe that's why I'm a single guy who's having trouble. Maybe that's why. Wow, some of the people here on this pod are happy in relationships and doing good things. I don't know. I'm being honest. Listen, I'm not even trying to. Days is a fool. Days is a fool. And so that's why I said, okay, let me start as opposed to last time. I'll start and say I'm looking for a partnership, but maybe that's the wrong thing. Maybe I should be looking for someone who loves me and that I can love back, and maybe that's good enough. So that's the question, and maybe I'll chime back in as the flow as the conversation flow goes. But that's the question. To reiterate, what is it that you have to see in someone to make them your significant other? What are you looking for in a relationship? So go ahead, fellas.
I think to start out, there's not necessarily anything wrong with what you're looking for, because I don't think there's anything wrong. You can't look for anything wrong in relationships. It's what you want out of the relationship.
Okay.
So whatever it is that you're looking for is going to be best for you, because that's what you want. So if that's where you're at right now, or that's what you want from, a romantic partner, is, hey, I want them to be involved with my business. I want to be involved with their business. I want like everything to be whole. Then that's what you're looking for. So it's not necessarily, it's not something wrong. It's just your vision of what you want from your relationship.
Okay. And what about you, good sir? What are you
for
looking
me,
for? Right. And for you, it would be relationships.
Right.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying that to pick on you. Well, I bring that up because as someone who's polyamorous, I don't know what Nestor is looking for. Maybe he's looking for something different because his anchor partner already provides certain things. So perhaps the other people in his polycule, I'm remembering the terms, kid. I did my homework. You know what I'm saying? So perhaps the other people in his polycule he'll be looking for different things from them. So that's why I brought it up, because I don't know how his, his search goes. I don't know what he feels his anchor partner already provides and he doesn't need. So that's why I specified.
So I think the first context to all this is, technically my wife is my first relationship that I've ever had.
Okay.
So as far as experience, I don't have a lot. So as far as searching for anything specific, that's never been, or that wasn't really something I was super focused on. I just really wanted someone that I loved, that loved me back. And I found that with her, and I also felt like she was someone that had things that I lacked.
Okay.
So she filled in gaps for me where I was super reserved about certain things. She's a bit more outgoing and forward with things like that. At least expressing yourself, and so she's filled in, and she was kind of opposite on a lot of things.
Okay.
Than where I'm at. So that was important. Our personalities had to mesh in some kind of way. So I needed somebody that I'm kind of an asshole sometimes. So I needed somebody that wasn't gonna just completely take that personally and be an asshole back sometimes if they needed to. So key things, just someone that filled in gaps and someone whose personality meshed with mine.
Okay.
Beyond that, we have things in common. So, we both like horror movies and whatever. So stuff like that, really played out. So we have things to talk about, to do together.
Commonalities.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Cause as far as beyond, the relationship, anything outside the relationship is outside the relationship. So for me, my work is my work, and that should stay at work. I'm not going to bring that home, or I try not to bring that home.
Okay.
But it does, things like that affect me. So I do, come home with it sometimes and whatever. And she has to deal with that. And then she'll like help me, like get through whatever feelings or whatever it is that's going on. But, as far as that is, I do want to help her, reach her goals.
Uh-huh.
But beyond like providing advice or giving some input here and there, it's not something where it's like I'm gonna be involved in her career once that starts up.
Well, let me interject. I know as a fan of your podcast, your wife is involved in your podcast. She helps do things behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
so is
I
that?
mean,
Well,
that's just like out of convenience, and also it's hobby. So like I mentioned before, it's not something I'm doing as a career thing or whatever. It is pure hobby, and it's out of convenience that she has the free time and I always like am just slipping on it, and just since I was constantly like forgetting to upload and do whatever, it was just out of convenience. Hey, you're home, can you do this for me real quick? And that's kind of how it started, was just like, hey, can you just like I just need you to do this and then upload it. And then so now it's just like that, it's, hey, the episode's there, can you do it? So that's where that is. So it's kind of out of convenience, and it's a hobby thing. It's something that it's not something I would ask her to do if it's not something that she didn't mind doing.
okay, so let's bring it back to the core question. Today, what are you looking for in a relationship? What do you need to see from someone for them to be your significant other?
Really, I don't think anything I'm looking for has changed.
Okay.
It's still kind of the same, like, hey, we have to, like, I have to care about you, you have to care about me, and we have to have personalities that mesh, and have things in common. I mean, to be completely clear and transparent, I'm not like actively looking for anything, but if like someone was to come along, they still have to meet kind of those same things. There's not anything that there's nothing really like specific that I'd be looking for beyond that. Beyond like, oh, we're cool together, we have fun, we enjoy the same things, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Hey Dex,
Hi.
welcome
How
back.
you doing?
Welcome in. I didn't want to cut off Ness as he was talking and you entered.
Hi.
Glad you were able to join us. Glad everything is working out. But okay, Ness, thank you for your response.
So Jay, I'll go. Because there was something that you said earlier that I could definitely I'll second that as far as like a partnership. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it go along the lines of what our missions is as far as like our purpose, being artists and, having all of these multiple gifts that you would say that, because at the end of the day, this thing that we love so much, we're not going to stop doing it. You understand what I'm saying? And at some point we want to be able to do it to the extent that we could feed ourselves from it. We could pay the bills and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So a partnership would be more ideal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In that retrospect. Yes, I would say I'm looking for that too. I'm not actively looking at the moment. You know what I mean? If someone finds you, that's different. You get what I'm saying? They say stop looking for love and let it find you. But qualities, man, character. I'm definitely looking at their character. I'm paying attention. Like one of the things that I do, I pay attention to how people treat people that they have interest with. Like it could be whatever. It could be a rapport. It could be a good morning. You see this person, you have some type of, connection with this person versus somebody you totally don't know. Now I'm paying attention to how you're treating that person. You might treat that person very nasty. You've heard what I'm saying, very obnoxious. And I'm paying attention to that. because it will give me reason to believe that you may treat people a certain way because you have a relationship with them, but somebody who you don't, you might just be frivolous. So character, I'm definitely paying attention to character, integrity, purpose, goal oriented, because at the end of the day, I'm getting to it. I'm on my grind. you know where would you be in the midst of that? You know what I mean? But it's just a few things I wanted to throw out there, but the ideal thing would be a partnership. And it's funny, we had this conversation off camera. We talk about high standards, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there, we might have some high standards,
Right.
but in all actuality, there's someone out there that meet those standards, and you would know when they cross your path, and none of those things bother them, none whatsoever. You know what I mean? They feel more intrigued and less challenged by your standards, and more drawn in. So I hope I answered the question.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's what you're looking for, there's no wrong answer here. It's a discussion because, like I said, I know what I'm looking for, but there are people here who are in relationships on this pod. There are people who are not in this relation who are not on this pod and not in relationships. So I thought it would make an interesting discussion, especially based off the responses from the Steve Harvey stuff we all had last time. And so, like I said, this has been on our topic list for a long time, but it seemed like it was a great segue from the Steve Harvey stuff. So, like I
Yeah.
said, I know I'm looking for a partnership at some point. And Ness, I want to be clear. I don't just mean business. I mean life. Like, if that
Yeah.
person, if that significant other has a sick mom or sick cousin and they are helping, well, then I'm helping. It's like, oh, so Sundays you need to take a week of meals to your sick family member. All right, so let's get in the kitchen. Maybe either I'm helping cook or maybe I drop them off. Maybe, oh, okay, it's Sunday. I'm off on Sundays. I'll just go drop them off to such and such relative. Because you said
But that's
business, Ness, so I want to make sure that it's clear. I'm not just looking for a business partner. My point in saying that, and my point in starting with the telehealth for the other person, is that I would hope this other person also has goals and business
correct.
things they are trying to do. I'm looking for someone who's also ambitious. If
Well, you
they're
did.
just sitting home on the couch watching Housewives all day, it probably won't work out. And again, that's why I started, because I said maybe I don't know, maybe what I'm looking for, maybe my list of requirements is too strict. Maybe what I'm looking for is not realistic, and so that's why I started and said, okay, let's see where it goes, because everyone here is in different spaces, and whether you're in a relationship or not, you might be looking for different things.
Well, you made that clear when you said a partnership. You didn't put business in front of that. You just clearly stated a partnership. And it sounded like what you were saying was more a partnership and less relationship goals. It seemed like nowadays everything's more relationship goals, more surface based. And you were, touching on something that was more in depth. So,
Well, that's
I
what I'm
def-
saying. That's why I tried to clear it. Thanks, Days. I'm just saying that
no
because
doubt.
Nestor mentioned the business stuff specifically. I want to be clear that although I'm very business minded, it's not only about business. Like, it
Correct.
could be anything. Maybe you have a kid already, and your kid has a bad attitude, and so we're working together to try to fix the attitude. Okay. Well, I worked with kids for many years. Here are some strategies that I know. It could be any fucking thing. My point is, it's less to me about just calling each other a couple, putting up pictures of us at brunch, and going on quote unquote vacations. It's more to me about being partners like the old school parents were. I feel like maybe today that's less of a thing. I don't know, but I don't see that. I see more people get together after 2 weeks of dating, and it's like, okay, this is my person, quote unquote. That's the thing everybody likes to say now. This is my person, and they're your person for 2 months or 2 years, whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. They came and gone. What are you looking for? And I feel like what I'm looking for has been the same for a long time. And sure, there have been small tweaks, but I'm looking for someone who I can be in a partnership with, not just, hey, we go together and we're posting things on social media. And I feel like today, more and more, it's about social media and quote unquote the look, and less about what are we doing for each other. How are we helping each other with our life goals and the life we're planning together? And so that's what I was trying to say.
I think that makes it a bit different because, okay, so thank you for clearing that up because that's the way it
Yeah.
sounded like when you were describing it. It did sound like, hey, I'm just looking for somebody that like, hey, we can, not that I'm just looking for that, but that's important part of it, that we're involved in each other's businesses as well.
Got it.
So, I mean, with that explanation, it's just, I mean, that just makes sense, right? Because, that's where that is. Like, that's essentially what being involved with each other, being in a relationship is. Your lives get meshed together. You are involved in each other's lives in different things because, yes, you're together. So I think that feels like a given.
But I don't think it
from
is today.
What you're saying, that's completely different, I think.
Okay.
Because I think it's just what we see isn't the whole picture, right? So you're talking about what's seen on social media and what people put out there and this and that, but that's not the whole picture, right? We don't know what these people do, you know, on their off time outside of whatever they're posting and all of that. And they're probably just showing like, oh, you know, this is relationship, couple, whatever, this, that, and they're just showing that surface level stuff. I don't think it's fair to say that's like a recent thing. It's probably more visible that there's a lot of people that are doing that, just because of the accessibility of things like that. I don't think it's something. I think people have more options, more choices, and they're just kind of, you know, exercising that in a sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine's not long. It's simple. Just match my energy. That's all I want.
But what does that mean, though?
It means everything. It match my energy. What I bring to the table, I want it back. That's it.
You want reciprocity. Reciprocity.
I want somebody who can offer what I can offer them. And if they can't offer that directly, let it be something that accentuates what I offer them. And in turn, because you can't say that you want the bar here and then you're looking for it and you're never going to find it because you're always having this bar set up so high and you're like, that person does 80% of what I do. Am I settling? And then you feel bad because you're settling. I'm not saying this from my experiences alone, but when you settle, you then start to nitpick at that 20% that person's lacking. You know, this person is great, but, and then every time there's an issue, you're going to go back to that but and what's missing and what's not there. So in turn, that's why I say that person has to match that energy. If I'm not saying, I text you in the morning, I want that back. No, it's just that thought process of, damn, he thought about me in the morning. I hope I'm thinking about him right now. And that's all I want. I want somebody who can, just give me what I give them and make me feel the way I try to make them feel. At the end of the day, there is the need for prerequisites is like, job and placements and career opportunities and all that stuff, because you want somebody to be successful, because you don't want to be holding a person down for a long, you don't want the finances to be a situation in a relationship. So you want that person to be, as independent as possible, so they don't have to rely not just on you, but they can be independent and grow on their own. And in turn, you both are doing your own things and you build something beautiful together. That's fine. But in my thing is, all I want is somebody who makes me happy the way I make them happy. That's it.
Okay. All right.
Reciprocity.
That's what that sound like. All right.
Yeah.
So we waiting on the OGs now.
Yeah.
Dex
and I gave
Dre.
partial answers for a reason. I gave partial answers.
There's really, we all want to have a good blend of both parts, practical things that we want and the romantic part. And the romantic part for me plays a big part. Somebody who could light up a room, someone who's charming, a good conversationalist, who, I mean, and of course, you're doing the same for that person. Of course, somebody who you're at peace with, somebody who you could be your most. But then at the same time, you want somebody who encourages you to chase your goals and dreams. You want somebody who's vulnerable with, of course, you're one with that person. Doesn't put you down or try to hold you back, and you move as one. I like the feeling of knowing when you love somebody, your significant other, you move as one. You represent them when you're in the street. They represent you. People want to know whenever that person says that's how you feel too. That kind of energy that you build, that is your partner, because they know you guys are together. I love that feeling of that kind of feeling, and knowing that kind of level together. So I'm just throwing stuff out there, but pretty much that's how I feel. It's a big balance of the romance, and the practical things. Somebody who's an influence on you and has made you a better person. This clip. If she sees this clip, she know I'm talking about her. She don't. She's heard it. So shout out my significant other, because that's how I feel. There you go. So she can see this.
Right. There you go. It's you up. Dex gave some answers. He said basically he's looking for someone who is a blend between what he's looking for romantically and what he's looking for on the pragmatic side.
Yeah.
And he gave some examples.
Those are some dope answers, man. And I definitely borrowed some. So the reason why I didn't just straight up come out, swinging like I sometimes do, because when you ask questions like that are more personal, I have to take time and be like, okay. And so while everybody was talking, I was kind of coming up with my list, because I'm not that great with on the fly. So sometimes I just need like a little bullet points. And I kind of did that as you guys were talking of some things, and borrow some stuff from some stuff y'all said. First of all, let me start off and say, yeah, I don't tell my personal stuff on these platforms, period. And we've had this conversation about, hey, do you like a partner that does, social media? And, I was very clear from the beginning. I don't put my stuff out there. It's just my style. I don't do it. Call it what it is. So I am going to answer the question. I understand it's a personal question, but I'm not putting my status out there at all.
Right.
So the big thing for me starting off, and this is no particular order, but it's just what's important for me. Trust. That is like number one, right? I have to be able to trust you. You know what I'm saying? I know something that we always say in relationships, romantic, whatever. But if the trust is not there, if you're not a trustworthy person, full stop. I'm not going anywhere with you.
Right.
The other thing that I need in a partner is intellectual stimulation. I think some of you guys kind of talked on this, where it's like, we talk about, hey, are we able to talk? You know what I'm saying? I'm big into the, really fly pillow talk, or even if it's not pillow talk, but I can communicate with you well. You stimulate me intellectually. You see things in a way that's like, man, wow, maybe you're well read, maybe you're, well versed. There's things that that I'm sitting there like, oh, okay, wow, I'm glad this person is in my life. I learned something new today just by hanging out with you, just by being with you. So I need that intellectual stimulation. The other thing is support. I heard you guys talk about this too, where it's like we're trying to support each other. We're trying to support each other's endeavors. Whether it's, business wise, whether it's, hey, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds, or I want to stop smoking, or I want to, have less alcohol in my life, whatever the thing is, I want a partner that's just like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna support you on that. Like, hey, what do we need to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I help you with that? Right. So support is very important to me. The next thing I got here is open-mindedness. I can't stand being with closed-minded people who just see things one way and then that's it, and never consider themselves to be wrong or think that this is it. There's nothing else. I always feel that this is my perspective today, but if you bring in some new information,
Yeah.
I'm always open to change. Like, okay, yeah, I used to believe that 3 years ago, but now that I have new information, I rock this way. So I'm also looking for a person like that that has an open mind. Um, Someone who is gracious, that has gratitude, basically not a stingy type person. Some people kind of keep everything here and want you to do all the things, whether that is spending with money, whether that's with time. I'm looking for a person that's gracious, because when I'm in relationships, I like to be gracious with time, energy, all those things that you guys were talking about. Um, what else did I put here? I like a person who has measured responses. And what I mean is that you don't fly off the handle emotionally, right? It's really hard for me to be in relationships with people where I feel like I'm like always sort of like stepping through a minefield. I never know. I might say this thing and they'll just blow up, and it's like, how did you say that? I can't believe it. It's like, whoa, that's your response. Like, I know that in relationships, sometimes you can say something, maybe even in jest or whatever, and that person either can take it the wrong way or it triggers them. But even in your being triggered, you should try to have like a measured response, meaning like, okay, you know what? That offended me a little bit. I want to talk to you about it. Okay. I'm looking for people who have measures, not like, oh no, like I can't, no. No, you got to be better with your responses.
So you got to have a high level of emotional intelligence.
Yes, be a mature adult, honestly. I also look at how you treat others, right? You can be in a relationship with a person and they're real great with you. They're very kind, very sweet with you, and then just horrible to other people. Like, how do you treat, staff? How do you treat your servers? How do you treat that person who's cleaning the hotel room? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like people are beneath you, or do you see them as human beings? So I look for how people treat others when we're out. Are you kind to other people? You know what I'm saying? That tells me a lot about you. Don't just tell me, oh yeah, I'm nice to you, but I can't stand other people. Like, we're not gonna work. I like a person who challenges me, but in a gentle, caring way, right? I don't need the sort of like tough love BS, right? I don't need the person to be like, well, you better do this and you bet, like, no. I do like being challenged, but when you challenge me, be considerate of how I feel, because that's what I'm going to do. Be considerate of how you're challenging me. You know what I'm saying? So just take care of how you come up with, yes, challenge me. I love it, but challenge me in a way that is considerate. I like, okay, so I'm a heterosexual man. I'm attracted to women. And so I like women who are soft, tender,
Submissive.
and not necessarily submissive. They can be, but even in them being firm on certain things, there's a sort of female quality to it. I don't like to be with like butch chicks who are trying to be just as manly as me, just like, yeah, son, you know what I mean? Yo, what's up, kid? Like, I have my guy friends for that.
I knew it was
right,
coming.
I don't need to be,
I knew it was coming.
yeah, son.
No wonder you got that hat on.
Yeah, I don't.
Now we
You
know
know
the
what I mean?
real reason he got the hat on. You know what I mean?
You stupid.
I don't really
she can't
need
be
that.
throwing up sets. Got it.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't like, yo, I don't want to be with the female version of DMX. You know what I'm saying? Like, No, I like soft, tender women. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be firm about things, but still be soft and tender. Like, that's just me. That's my personal. This is what we're talking about. And I'm not saying anything wrong with those type of women. I'm talking about for me.
Yeah, this is all of this is preferences.
Yeah,
All of
yeah.
it.
I just want to say
All
that
of this is
'cause,
what we are each individually looking for. It's no wrong
Right.
answer.
Yeah, yeah. Someone who communicates well. You know what I'm saying? Are you a
Yes.
good communicator? You know, I don't like, and I know that we all can be emotional, but I don't like the people who are just like, I thought you knew what I was talking about. Like, no, communicate. I'm not a mind reader. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you should have known how I felt about that. No, I shouldn't have.
Right.
You should have
Right.
been an adult and told me how you felt. Like, stop.
Right.
I don't like people who have this, like, the way they go about things is just the assumption. You know, well, I thought you knew. I thought this and I thought that. No, you don't communicate. So if you can communicate well, we can go some places. Um, People who are into this is just some New York way of saying this. People who are into like something, some kind of fly thing. It don't have to be the thing that I'm necessarily into, but you into something. It's some kind of hobby or whatever. You into fly shit. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that is, I like to see people kind of doing their own thing, into their own thing. That I may be completely unrelated to, but it opens my mind to this other thing that you're doing. So whatever that thing might be, I like to see people into something. You got some hobbies that you're into. There's some books, there's some authors, there's something that you're just like, yo, I'm a big so and so. I don't know, maybe you do Comic-Con. I don't know, whatever it is, but you're into a thing that you kind of like. And I like to see people do that. I like to see what you're like individual into. Just don't be into only thing you're into me. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you know, that whatever you like, whatever you like. Like that's whack.
Man, elementary. Man,
You know what I'm saying?
elementary.
You know what I mean? Like, what? That's it. Like, yeah, I just do the things that you want to. Like, no, that's corny. Like, be into something. Now I'm getting through this. All right. I heard someone else say this. You know, a person, and this is basically related to being into something fly. A person that has like purpose, drive, you know, goals, all that stuff. You know, I like that as well. You know, a go type getter where it's like, hey, we waking up in the morning. What are we doing today? We're gonna do bop 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 and achieve things. Like that makes me feel good. It makes me want to achieve things. You know, seeing that
Word.
you're that kind of purposeful person. You know, so I'm really into that. Um, Someone who is tolerant of others, meaning that you know you understand that everybody is not the same way, everybody doesn't think the same way, and you don't get pissed off because somebody thinks differently than you. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So I'm looking for people who have tolerance of other people's opinions and views. They understand that we don't all get along, and that's actually is cool. You know, diversity is important. So though you may not believe in ABC, you know, you understand that yo, everybody has the right to live their life, and you know, you're a tolerant person. So that's important for me. I'm getting through my list. All
Yes,
right. The other thing is they can't be into social media. You know, I kind of started this off with that. Like I'm not one of these people that every time we go out, every time we do something, it has to be posted. It has to be, you know, put this out there, put that out there. Oh, we just went to the movies. Oh, we just went to the grocery store. Oh, we stopped at Walmart. Like, yo, if you're that type of person, that is a big turnoff to me. I don't like the over social media. And you know, a couple of posts every now and then is cool. But every single thing that we do, every single thing that we get into, you know, we had a small argument, you putting that up. You know, we
Yeah.
went here, you putting that up. Like, I don't like the social media bugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, if that's who you are, nothing wrong. But I find it as a turn off, so I'm gonna go the other way. Uh, I like women who are spontaneous. Sometimes, you know, have that everything don't have to be planned out all the time. Sometimes it's just like, yo, I don't know what we gonna do tonight. Let's just go out and see where the wind blows. You know what I'm saying? Just let's be spontaneous. I love doing that. I love like sometimes just not planning and hey, let's check this thing out. It looks crazy. It looks weird. Let's go. You know, and that
Facts.
goes kind of to that open mindedness where it's like we don't have to plan everything. We could just have fun. You know, seeing how the day goes by. I'm a big movie person, so I will hope that this person is also into like, you know, watching certain movies, certain directors, you know, I'm big into that, whether we going out to the theater or we sitting at home on the big screen. I'm a big movie guy and I would like my partner to be into that as well. Dex talked about this, but yeah, romance, come on, you know, like I don't want to be with a robot. You know, I don't want to be with somebody that's cold.
Word.
I like warmth. I like passion. You know what I'm saying?
Intimacy. Like you said in the last
Intimacy. Come to me with that romance, man. You know, me and Jay talks about this sometimes. It's like, are you able? What do you know? The
I want to
tools of
sample that.
seduction? Are you able
Seduce
to like
me.
seduce a cat?
I want to sample
Seduce
that.
me. You know what I'm
Put it
saying?
on the
Because I'm gonna
beat.
certainly try to seduce you.
Yeah, keep that, Jay. Keep that, Jay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm certainly going to try to seduce you. Like, yo, it shouldn't just be like one of the wackest things. I know you brothers probably find this too. It's like when the chick is just like, all right, want to have sex? It's like,
No.
Oh, corny. You know, you mean to tell me you don't want this? It's like, oh, no.
I like that.
Like,
I like that.
wrap it up, put it in, you know, it's the wrapping, it's the how you bring it, seduce it, brother. The art of seduction is lost. And when I find people who like know how to seduce, I'm always like, yo, you're rare. I'm digging you.
Facts.
Yeah, so good energy. I heard some of y'all say that, but definitely yes. I like positive vibes, good energy, you know, as much as possible. Nobody is perfect. No one's going to always have good energy, you know, because we're human beings. We have negative and positive. But a person who tries to have good energy as much as they possibly can, you know,
Effort is
that's a lot for me, right? Where am I? All right. A person who likes to work out, you know, I like to work out. You know, this is not super important, but I like it. You know, I like to go to the gyms. You know, me and Jay have a podcast called Food, Fitness, and Fun. We talk about workouts and things like that. So working out to me is a big thing. You know, now you don't have to do that, but if you know, when I got a partner who's like, oh, you going to the gym? Listen, I want to go with you. You know, let's hang out. Let's do this thing. That's fun.
Right.
That's fun. I enjoy that. So if you like to work out, that's cool. I'm getting to the end of it. A sense of humor, you know, as y'all can tell, I spend a lot of time trying to make people laugh, right? I'm always trying to, you know, I'm silly, you know, I want to make cats laugh. And the worst thing, and I've been here before where I'm trying to make you laugh and somebody's just like, that's not funny, Dre. That's not funny, Dre. And it's like, oh, this is corny. Like, all you do is dot I's and cross T's and do 2 + 2, and you just don't have a sense of humor. And it's just like, this is not going to work for me because, you know, you're just too serious. You know, I can't be with somebody who's just too serious. So you got to have a sense of humor. And my very last thing, I like nasty donkey sex.
Hey, yo. You gotta explain what that means. You can't be saying shit like that, man.
I'm about to. Everything I said, I explained. Why wouldn't I explain the most
Please
crazy
do.
shit? You know what I'm saying? So when I say I like nasty donkey sex, it's like you gotta have a little bit of kink in you. You gotta be able to be like, you know, let's try some things. Let's do some things. You know, I don't know. Maybe we bring in toys into it. You know, maybe we saying nasty things to each other while we're doing it. Like, yo, I like passion, nasty, like, you know, I find myself, I'm a sexually liberated person. So, you know, there's things I try. Now, we all have certain things we like, oh, I'm not going to do or whatever. Okay, fine.
Right,
But can we at least, yeah, we all have our hard nose, right? But it's like, that's when that open-mindedness come in, and when you're just like, yo, being crazy passionate and just doing some kind of off the wall stuff, you know what I'm saying? That's just like, yo, like that looks crazy.
Yeah.
Let's give this a try. Let's give that a try.
try.
What about
Why
this
not?
position? What about that position? You know what I mean? Like, oh, what kind of porn are you into? Word, yo, let's recreate what we just saw. That was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want nasty donkey sex. That's great. Now, you know, now it's not, you know, it's not all, you know, sometimes you don't always get that. It's not the top thing on my list, as you can tell, but if I like it, if I can have it, you know what I mean? So that's mine. You know what I mean? I know it took a little bit of time, but there you go. You got my
I
answer.
feel like mine wasn't long enough. I was being discreet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do no half answers.
no partial responses.
Yeah, no partial responses. Nah.
Word.
You're gonna go in. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
listen, I like
That's
that.
it.
I got mad camera trouble. I don't know what this is gonna look like, but
Yeah, lighting.
well, I just my regular camera just wilded out, so my system just switched cameras. But I'll fix
shit.
it in a minute. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, that was great. I feel like if I
Yeah, I
happened?
saw you. Dex got kicked out and came back.
yes,
I
we
hear you.
you.
What you was gonna say, Jay?
No, I was gonna say I think that was great, even though I didn't get to hear every bullet point because of my camera issues kicking me out. But yeah, I feel like if I had a list, it would be similar. Like I'm looking for a lot of those things, and that's why I thought this was a great question to bring up, because it doesn't seem like everyone's looking for the same things, and that's why I said, well, maybe I'm looking for too much. You know, maybe I'm looking for way too much, and I guess according to Dre, I'm not, because Dre came with the extended clip. You know what I mean?
The Draco.
You know what I'm saying? Right, exactly. Drake came with the
Draco.
Draco. You know what I'm saying? So
Draco.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't know. That was wild.
This
But
episode is
I
called
don't,
Draco.
you know what I'm
Drake
saying? I
Came
don't.
with the testaments,
You
like
know what I'm saying?
ah,
Right. Drake came with the scroll. You know what I'm saying?
like,
So,
right. The
And
Constitution.
I wasn't even
uh,
expecting that. I'm not even gonna lie. I wasn't even expecting that. But I like it though. I think it was very informative.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it really depends, like I said, what we're all looking for. And so it sounds to me like Dre's looking for very specific things. I think for me, it's more about the mentality of the person. You know, what is it that they're looking for as well? Because I've met people who I thought were awesome, but they weren't looking for no partnership. They was looking like, all right, what could we do in the next year? You know, what's the next 6 months looking like? And I'm like, I mean, it starts there, but I'm looking for long term. I'm trying to really build something here. And so, you know, I thought it was worth discussing, especially how things were at the tail end of the Steve Harvey conversation last pod. Like I said, if whoever's watching this, listening to this, if you didn't see or hear last episode, that's where we're picking up from. So you should definitely go back. But I thought that. Go
I
ahead.
also think that conversation stemmed from, like, based off of the pod, like, can I say this? All of us wasn't emotionally invested in his response, correct? Can I say that? Am I right about that?
But I also think it led to larger conversation.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm saying the gist of it was, like, because I feel like in this era, remember we were saying it, like, people, when somebody says something, people just be so impacted by it instead of realizing, like, that's just what they said. That's their preference. That's their opinion. Give them that space to express a difference of opinion from yours. Now, like Dre said, what we were saying, are you mature enough to acknowledge that and then move forward based on that? But now it's like somebody can't give an opinion without it being like headline news. So-and-so said, but it's like, that's what he said.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what he said.
yeah, that's going to take us into our next topic. But I'll close by saying this. The reason why is because today so much is built, so much is about the celebrity today and what they support. And so, especially like Nestor was saying, that's kind of a big part of Steve Harvey's branding. And so that's why when he says stuff and he does stuff in that regard, it's like, oh yeah, this is his bread and butter in a sense. And so people are looking to, oh, okay, well then what is it that he's saying? Into our next topic, there's a lot of people who are big characters, so to speak, right? There's a lot of people in radio, in podcasting, on TV, who people are in, you know, they're fans of, including some of us, of people who have big personalities. And they come and they're boastful and they say things with a very strong, impactful opinion. They have a lot of passion when they talk. And so those people are easy to stick out in a room or as you're scrolling through your feed or scrolling through channels. But I have noticed that more and more we see these same people saying, oh, I just do that for the job. That's not really how I am. That's not even really how I feel. There's a term people are using now, content over everything. And people are saying for content, they'll do damn near anything. There are TV personalities and radio personalities coming out and saying, oh, well, I mean, if that's what pays the bills, then fuck it. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, I only do that because that's what makes people pay attention. And so I thought that was very interesting to hear some of the people that we might be fans of saying those things. because sometimes what draws you to the person are those things, right? You scroll through and you hear the person on television saying, man, but nobody can mess with LeBron because LeBron this, and you've heard this information before, but the way
Correct.
they're delivering it, that passion, or maybe you're on a podcast and it's the antics. Oh man, every time JD speaks, I know he's going to say something silly. So I listen and wait for the something silly. And so I was wondering, and maybe this is going to be a quick topic, I don't know, but I was wondering what you guys think about people saying, I'm playing a character. Because people are literally saying that now. Like, oh yeah, the guy you see as JD on podcasts, that's just a caricature. That's not really me. In real life, I'm so different. That's not true for me at all. I'm giving an example. But that's what a lot of people are now coming out and saying, and this is public. They are saying straight up, like, this is what I do because it pays the bills, it gets the views, it gets people to listen, it gets people's attention quickly. And so I was wondering, what do you guys think about that?
I know for me,
Hold on. Before you start, Drake. Before you start,
Okay,
can you
okay.
say the term? It was in quotations. How do you say the term?
Content over everything? Or the caricature?
You smushed it together as one word.
No, that comes from Joe Budden. I mean, I don't mind saying it. That's just content over everything I learned from Joe Budden podcast.
No, that wasn't it. You put a word in quotations inside the
caricature.
Say that. How you say it?
Caricature. It's
Caricature.
basically saying like an avatar almost. Like I am not really this person you see. I'm playing a character. That's
Well, I
what
just
these
wanted to
people-
know the term because I was
Oh,
speaking
oh.
45 different languages trying to pronounce it. It just
So
wasn't coming out.
No,
right.
it's fine. But that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say like Days, for example, the guy we see as Days in public, that's not really Days. So Days would be coming forward in this example. Days would be coming forward and saying, "Oh, I'm just like that because it helps me get shows. I'm just like that because it helps me get gigs. But in
Gotcha.
real life, I'm not like this. I everybody who really knows me knows I just do this for TV, for radio, for views, for comments, for clicks. So go ahead, Dre.
Oh yeah, so what I was going to say is that, I don't mind it, honestly. Like, I get it. That's fine. We are living in an age, and this is really nothing new, but we are living in an age where people need to get clicks, people need to get views. And how do you get yours over somebody else? If you can create a character and just say, okay, well, I'm just going to be this dude, to get the views, to get whatever, then hey, knock yourself out. I don't. To me, it's all entertainment. So I don't have an expectation that if I see this person or meet this person or whatever, that they're not who they was on a particular entertainment platform. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't expect for Tom Cruise to be, a international spy and just busting people's ass, right? It's like he's an actor, like right? I get it, So when someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna create this persona and say wild things and just whatever," I get it. And even on our podcast, even on this one, sometimes, I'm still me, but I do kind of turn it up a little bit just so that it could possibly get a click. Like I was watching our last podcast about the whole Steve Harvey thing, and if you remember, I ended by saying, "Oh yeah, this is why people should just ignore Steve Harvey." Like boom, put this right out there. Basically, like lick shot. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting something, but it's like,
Right.
So I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that is a part of me. And I could have said that honestly a nicer way, but I chose not to. Like, I really wanted to say it that way to kind of possibly draw from maybe his audience and bring it to ours. So I do that a little bit. I'm still being me, but I won't talk like that in front of someone like I'm just out having dinner. But on this, I'll put up the heat a little bit. I'll say something a little bit more wild. I'll try to be a bit more entertaining. I am trying to make people laugh. I am trying to, get some views with all the stuff that we're doing. So, hey, I don't mind turning it up a little bit. Now, will I create a whole nother person that's nothing like me? Probably not. But I have no problem with people who like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just, be this whole different person, this whole different dude, this whole different woman, and say wild things and watch my views go up. All right.
Got it.
That's my perspective.
Okay. Tez, Ness, Dex.
Well,
Days.
I could see the duality in it. I could. I'm not at first. At first, when it was brought upon, I wasn't too sure about it. But now that I'm hearing Dre speak upon it and hearing you express it, I can see the duality in it because when I hear this, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. When I hear this, I think about work. I think about work. When people go to their 9 to 5s and somebody goes, "Oh well, I'm not who I am outside of this job." You know what I mean? So obviously you're partially yourself, or for some people they would say their professional self, because your voice gets a little different, your back gets straight, your shoulders come out. You start speaking different. The minute you clock out, you start slumping and what's going on, my G? You feel it's a whole different ball game. Don't they call that code switching? You could code switch. So that's what I think about when I hear this. You get what I'm saying? People kind of clocking in. It's just that their 9 to 5 is public. We get to be spectators of their 9 to 5 for like a better words, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same way in a sense with us too. Like when I get on the stage as Days the Emperor, like I remember, I'll give you an example, right? My first show that I threw, my man wanted me to do a song, right? He wanted me to do 6 a.m. in Bed-Stuy. He wanted me to do 6 a.m. in Bed-Stuy, and I decided not to do it because I said, I don't want to stun on my peoples. And he was like, huh? And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to stun on my peoples. Jay, we talk about this. It's a lot of braggadocious and I'm hot like fire and you can't see me because you blind. You feel me? A lot of braggadocious. I didn't want to bring that energy to my people. I wanted to do something more celebratory. So obviously that tells you something. I was aware because I know that intentionally when I perform this song, I tap into a different energy. My body language switches. My tone gets a little stronger. I might arrogant to the 10th power now. Some people might feel some type of way about that. We coming to see this guy perform while he's stunting on us. And then for some, they may see it as it's warranted. Because I feel like I'll be as modest as I can until I get on that stage. Because don't nobody want to see people up there with low self-esteem talking about nobody knows the trouble I've seen. You understand what I'm saying? It's not entertaining at that point. We turning it off.
Gotcha.
So I could see it. I could see both sides, like you like to say, Jay.
That is what I like to say.
Can I add on before the next person go?
Sure.
Because I do like what you said, Days. And that is, none of us is just one person. You know what I mean? Like, we all have, like, different dudes. You know what I mean? All different, or entities. May not be dudes, different entities. And so it's like, we call it modulating or code switching or whatever. It's like, oh, yeah, when I'm Sensei Dre and I'm teaching martial arts, I'm this dude. You know what I mean? When I'm Brooklyn back in East New York, okay, I'm this dude. When I'm in a classroom, I'm this dude. When I'm at the gym, I'm this other cat. So it's like, we all are these like different cats. And so when people tend to do that, they are probably pulling out something that is a part of them, but kind of like sort of overdone, like way emphasized, what I'm saying? You exaggerate this character, you really bring it out, and that's what actors do, right? They say, okay, you're going to play this role. Yeah, you're going to be the Joker. Okay, hold on, let me take a look. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to really go out, you know what I'm saying? And so when you do that, a lot of times people gravitate to that because it is so extreme. But I think that, yes, we all have a certain, different types of people all within us.
Damn,
you get a chance to shine. But go ahead.
I wanted to say something. I wanted this because you're making me think about something, right? Because I just think that it's all a part of us. And it made me think about this, right? Because people don't know that I was stage fright growing up. A lot of people, when they see me on stage, they like to ask me, yo, how you get so confident? And a brother actually asked me the other day, like he just got straight to the nitty gritty. He like, yo, bro, you never been stage fright? And I said, wow. I said, bro, only if you knew. Like, that's how it started for me. You feel what I'm saying? So I like to say that to say, I remember I had a conversation with my cousin and I asked him, I don't know what made me pose the question, but I said, bro, when are you most confident? He said, man, when I step on that ball court, when it's time to play ball, I said, stop right there. I said, that is what you need to think and feel every time you approach that stage. Anything musical, keep that right there.
Yeah, but I think I disagree with y'all, and here's why. I don't think y'all are understanding what I'm saying, or maybe we just disagree. Y'all could clear it up before anybody else goes.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, let's just use Shannon Sharp for an example. He is not one of the
Yeah.
people who have said this. But just for example, people are fans of Shannon Sharp for specific reasons, right? The way he dresses, the way he talks, the way he delivers it so strong. If Shannon Sharp came out tomorrow and said, hey, none of that shit is me. That's a stylist. That's someone writing talking points. And that's me completely acting. That's what people are doing. And so there are people coming out, and I'm saying that, yes, I've said here on this podcast, we shouldn't attach ourselves to labels. When we had the conversation about relationships and the 5 love languages, I spoke about how people are layered, they're onions, they're much more. So yes, everything y'all are saying is true. Not what the question is. The question is, these people like a Joe Budden, like all of these Charlemagne, all of these different
Stephen
people,
A, etc.
Stephen A, Steve Harvey, those big personalities, those people with strong opinions, those are the type of people who are coming out and saying, this is not really me. This is a role I'm doing just because it does this. And so that's the question. Not, are you a multi-layered person? Yeah, of course. We all know, even on, like Gary Vee uses the example, that on every app, people behave differently. When
Right.
you're on Facebook, you're not the same as when you're on TikTok. When you're on TikTok, you're not the same as when you're on Instagram. Yes, we know people are layered. That's not what we're asking. What we're asking is, what drew you to this person? If you watch this podcast because you love how Nestor comes with a hat and breaks down things from a perspective that you didn't expect. If Nestor came out and said, well, actually, all that shit is a lie, and in public, I never wear hats, how would that make you feel? That is what I'm asking.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and let me just say, with your example, the whole Shannon Sharp shit, because you're right, I am a fan of Shannon Sharp. If exactly what you said happened, I would still watch Shannon Sharp.
Okay.
I don't need it to be authentic. If he says, yo, I got a stylist who do this person did this, we'll put all this together, and I came up with this character, and it's like, yo, son, keep those cats on your team, because that cat is working. I love this dude that y'all came up with.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep watching him, because I don't really care if you're like that once the camera is off. What I care about is the content you're bringing to me and how it's making me feel and how I interact with it. So as long as that's happening, yo, keep it going. That's the way I
That's
see it.
interesting to me, because we often talk about how people are not their authentic self. So I actually didn't expect that response from you. But let's let somebody else chime in.
So, it's great that you clarified that, because I was going to go in that direction now. Because I noticed that's like what everybody was saying was like the layers and tweaking personalities, code switching, all that. And I was like, I was gonna say that it's completely different from like outright lying about who you are or lying about your beliefs. So creating a character for the camera for whatever it is, I don't think there's a big issue with that. Like Dre said, if it's somebody I enjoy looking at and I enjoy, what's happening, I'm entertained by it, then it's cool. They created a character that's entertaining, and that's may not be them, but it's entertaining to get me the information. And then that's the second part, that's the part that I've noticed where it's information they don't believe in themselves, or things like that. And I'm gonna hit some names. Because this is exactly where I saw it from.
Yeah.
We have people like Alex Jones, who taken to trial is like, well, this is a character. All the things I say aren't true. And, it's just stuff I say because, it gets hits and it's entertaining. And that's a wild claim to make, especially when it's being presented as truthful. And so that stuff like that is a real mess. You have people like Just Pearly Things, who like shown off as being, well, this isn't something she's not completely representing herself.
The things that she's preaching.
Right. She's not representing herself that way. Or Candace Owens, who had a big switch up once she realized, oh, I spout all this crazy extra right-wing stuff. That's just what I'm going to keep doing from now on. And that's like the direction she went, completely balls to the wall, because she realized, well, this is going to get me the attention. And it's wild when it's presented that way, because it's like, okay, well, it's one thing when you're creating a character to give out information and to get people to listen to you. It's another thing when you're completely spouting something you don't actually believe or aren't behind 100% or
Yeah.
is, untrue. And you're doing a disservice. You're creating danger essentially because you're pushing ideas out there that are false, but you don't care if the general populace doesn't know they're false and just like takes it and runs with it and creates bigger problems from there. And you're doing a disservice and you're dangerous essentially because you have lots of people listening to you and believing what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm going with
Taz,
something
Dex?
exactly like what Ness said. I kind of differentiated if it's like entertainment news. Guys just spouting their opinion. I don't really care. You could be a character just like saying stuff because you're gonna get a bunch of people following. You're not even speaking the truth. You don't even believe what you're saying. All you want. When you get into an Alex Jones type of realm, that's when we have a problem. But other than that, I'm like, yeah, do your thing. It's entertaining. I don't take it too seriously. Entertainment. Stephen A. talking all kind of stuff about sports, whatever. I don't care. I just go on YouTube, see a clip of them saying something just to hear what's going on. I don't take them seriously. Yeah. So.
Okay. Tez?
I mean, we got to break it down to the fact that they're all entertainers, right? And I come from a wrestling fandom or background, if you will, where we've seen everybody, the Hulk Hogan's and the Rocks and all these stuff that, when we were kids, we thought were real. We thought that Hulk Hogan actually ate his vitamins and said his prayers and he got the
Every night.
you thought that Undertaker was really a dead person who, could never die.
That's
Right.
a fact. That's
Rest
a
in peace to
fact.
Iron Sheik, for breaking people's back and making them humble.
R.I.P. Iron Sheik.
But, it's the same premise when it comes to these entertainers where it's all in the pretense that it's real. And that's what we cling on to, that the fact that, Stephen A is being real or Shannon Sharp is being real. And, until there's unrefutable evidence that they're being a character, I have no problem supporting with them because I don't care about the characters so much as their opinion, right? If you're gonna be let's say Shannon Sharp's gonna tell me that Tom Brady is the worst quarterback to ever live, I'm gonna be like, bro, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not a Brady fan. I don't like Tom Brady, but I give respect where it's due, right? But if his script tells him, oh, you got to do me a favor, you got to go and say that Tom Brady is the worst quarterback ever to touch pigskin. At that, I'm going to be like, bro, you play football with John Elway.
Right.
I understand that John might be your guy, but John ain't got the metal, the amount of metal ore in his background than Tom Brady does, You got to acknowledge the real.
Right.
So it's more the sense of how much are you selling out? And how much are you just adding seasoning, right? Like Joe Budden, we all know Joe Budden to be animated. We all know Joe Budden to be very extra because at the end of the day, that's his show. And or if he's featured on, people have a certain expectation to where, his demeanor has to be a certain way, right? We've all seen all versions of Joe where he's yelling over everybody or he's shooting an idea down because he knows better or whether he's wrong or right, it's Joe. We know Joe's personalities and nuances, but it's also, if it's fake, why are you being fake then? Because what are we doing here? Are you just trying to be clickbaity? If so, then I understand the reason, but like that diminishes your validity in anything you say. That diminishes any, your opinion doesn't hold water with me because you're now just being offensive just to be offensive. Like when Nessa said Alex Jones, that I remember because there was a time when I and somebody else here used to listen to Alex Jones, thinking that this guy was spitting some gospel.
Yes,
and after times went on, we're just like, that man crazy,
right,
a little too crazy. And it could have been at one point where he was somewhat genuine, where he was somewhat trying to be eye opening, but he realized, hey, if I tell you that there's aliens right now living under the Brooklyn Bridge, the fucking people are going to believe the damn thing. And he knows he's going to get the listens. And that's what he cares about.
Right.
And I get it. And I get it. You have a part to play. I'm sorry, because you said Joe Budden, we all playing our parts, it sticks in my head. But it's he has a part to play, and he has food to put on his table, and he knows that, hey, I'm gonna be the onion. People are gonna think that I'm real, and I'm just gonna say the most outlandish shit that people should buy these miracle seeds that can last for 50,000 years, and you should keep always because they're better than whatever the government's gonna give you. All that shit. Because at the end of the day, it feeds his family. Yeah. But if you, as a viewer, go in there, think I'm sorry.
Finish, Tez.
So if you go in there as a viewer, as and this is for any bit of content, if you're going in as a viewer just looking at what this person's saying as brass tacks without doing the research, then that's on you for being miseducated. Because one person doesn't know all the sides of the story. One person doesn't know the complete subject matter. Oh, why did Tom Brady have a bad game? Well, according to Shannon Sharpe, he had a bad game because, his line wasn't there. But maybe, his line was there. There was just a different scheme. He doesn't know the whole agenda. You understand?
Yep.
So it's up to you as a consumer to take all this news as, is it fake? Is it real? And to look at every angle.
Right.
Gotcha. All right.
I agree.
Go ahead, Dre, chime in, and then I'm going to go.
Yeah. I just want to make a clarification that, because I don't disagree with what Nestor's saying, and that there is a point where it's like, okay, this is going too far. And I'm glad that Nestor, you mentioned names, so that makes things much clearer. In the health space, you see this a lot, and obviously I participate in the health space. There was a dude, I don't know if you guys remember this cat called the Liver King, right? This cat got real famous by saying, I eat liver, raw liver. And, and it was like, oh no, this body that I have has nothing to do with steroids. It has nothing to do with performance enhancing drugs. It's all eating liver. And it's like, well, if you can't eat raw liver, what I'm going to do is sell you these liver pills. And it's just like having raw liver, and I'm going to sell these liver pills for $80 a bottle or wherever it was going for. And he was just doing that. And he got, millions and millions of followers. And then, of course, it broke that you're not only taking steroids, you're taking a plethora of performance-enhancing drugs to look like that. Wow. Now, people like myself, kind of what Tess is saying, people like myself, we all knew, anybody that was real in the health space knew, you did not look like that by eating liver. Like, stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, not. I'm sure, Dex, I'm sure you knew too. Like, no, bro, you're not going to look like that by eating raw. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, yeah, you fooled a lot of people, but like Tessa saying, you didn't do your due diligence. Now, I think that that's wrong because you're misleading people. And that's not entertainment. And so what I was talking about in terms of like having this persona and having it all be entertainment, that's fine. But once you start using that to take advantage of people like Alex Jones and, you're selling all like iodine pills and all this other crazy stuff to say, buy this like worthless crap and it's going to change your life. That for me, I believe that is absolutely wrong and should not happen. And so I just wanted to like kind of clear that up.
No, that's all good. And I'll go. Everyone else went, right? Because
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Started it.
Yeah. So I think that there were some great examples brought up. I was actually trying not to say names. I was trying to go more example based, but here we are. Yeah, I used to love Alex Jones. I got no problem saying it. I've mentioned it in songs earlier in my career, quote unquote career. When I first started doing music, I used to listen to Alex Jones a lot. I even said it in one of my songs, and I was a big fan of what he was doing, but it came to a point, like Tez said, where it's kind of like, oh, well, I don't really know what this guy's doing anymore. This is getting kind of wild. And so, you kind of figure, okay, like I tell my daughter, we have to use those same Snapchat filters on our brain. We can't look at everything and say, this is a great picture. Yes, Dre was born with a face as a dog. He's a human with a dog on his face. No, we know that's a Snapchat filter, right? And so we have to do the same thing. We have to put our filters on and look at what's really going on here. And so, yeah, that's true. But I think it's a little different when it comes to the people that we're discussing. No, we all know Tom Cruise is an actor, a director, and an executive producer. I do not think when I see any actor or actress that this is 100% who they are. I know they are studying for a role, they are playing a role. It's not the same thing when I watch someone say, my opinion is this. My research says this. I don't think that, because that's not Tom Cruise.
Correct.
That's not Will Smith. That's not Denzel Washington. And so if Joe Budden or Shannon Sharp or Alex A. Smith are saying, well, this is what I think, this is what I truly feel, well, then I'm looking at that and saying, okay, well, now let me listen and let me take in, what are you saying? What is the reasoning? And yes, Tez is correct. We should absolutely be doing our own research. We should absolutely be saying, oh, well, what do I really think is the truth? But the reason I brought up the question is because people are building multi-million-dollar businesses and careers off of these personas they're creating. And they're not actors. That's not their craft. Their craft is radio personality, TV personality, YouTube creator, whatever it is. And they're doing things like Just Pearly Things was a great example, because she's out here saying, you have to do these things for red pill men to like you. And if you hit this age, it's too late. And all the shit she's saying, she's not doing any of it. And she passed the same age requirement that she's out here telling people. It's crazy. And so it's like fraudulent shit. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
that's crazy.
And Joe Budden, who I love, has
That's
straight up
crazy.
said at this point, yeah, that shit I said last week, actually, I was with Ish 100%, but yeah, I wasn't really entertaining. So I completely took the other angle so we could have more views. It's like, okay, like, well, then why am I, you know what I'm saying? It becomes this weird space.
And it sounds strategic at this point. Like it's
It is strategic.
very,
Yeah, of course.
very
And,
cerebral.
and I think that's very different than saying, I'm going to play devil's advocate, right? It's simple to come up here and say, hey, everything you guys all said, I agree. But let's offer our viewers and listeners another perspective. And then you argue that other perspective. That's just good at being a debater. Like in debate class, they make you do that. They say, okay, Days, you're going to take this perspective. Dre, you're going to take this perspective. It doesn't matter in debate class which one you agree with. That's the assignment. And so that's fine. I think if anybody comes on this podcast and say, hey, I think from now on, I'd like to play devil's advocate, or even on a topic, that's okay. That's not the same thing as being passionate and strong, saying, I believe this. My research says this. And so I think it gets a little tricky when the same thing that we are admiring about a person or drawn to about a person, we learn is actually a facade. And so that's my take. Days, you got something or
Yeah, because you got my mind buzzing, man. You're saying some real good things. And it's
Okay.
making me think about like because you know they are making it clear. Right? You know what I mean? It's kind of like I gave somebody an example. It's kind of like when you're about to do a show and you don't feel well. So you go up there and you tell the crowd, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not really feeling well at the moment. Bear with me. So we know that while you're performing and you're struggling to get through this performance, we know that you don't feel well. Now, if you went up there and you didn't tell us that, now that's different. Now we see you crouching in fetal positions in the middle of your verse, and we like, what the hell is wrong with you?
right,
fuck
but
is he
that's
doing?
what I'm saying. In
You know
your
what I mean?
example,
Like-
I do, and that's what I'm going to respond to. In your example, if I'm not feeling well and I get on stage and say, hey guys, this is my first performance in 4 years and I feel like crap today, I'm really sick, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to perform. That is extremely different than me having built up millions and millions of fans and getting paid all of this money and doing
And
something
doing it
that, oh, we
repetitious.
know Jay as a performer. We know for 10 years we've watched Jay as a performer. He's gone on tour all over the country, all over the world. Jay is a great performer. And then I say, actually, I've never been on a stage. That's my dad on stage every time you bought a ticket. You'd be like, nigga, what? What do you mean? So you've been lying this whole time. That's what I'm saying. Because that's essentially what these people are doing. No, Dre, before you ask, I've never sent my dad out on stage. No.
I was gonna say, nah, I was gonna go say that. I'm like, have Have y'all ever heard of an old school '90s group called Milli Vanilli?
Of
Yes.
course, yeah.
Yes, we had a-
Actually, that performance example has been happening a lot lately, and people have been getting caught. People have been sending out other people to do their performances, and they've been getting caught. People are there videoing, recording video, and they're like, "Yo, they said this is JD, but look, if you look, it's actually Dre on stage right now singing the songs. Why is Dre out there?"
They
Anyway.
Milli Vanillian.
Yeah, it's a lot of that
Wow,
going on.
Milli
Vanillian.
Vanillian. That's great.
Vanillian.
Milli Vanillian. That's
And so-
crazy.
Yeah. So that leads into the next and last topic. And so I think podcasting has become a very interesting space today. I think lots of people have gotten microphones and gotten laptops and gotten cameras and decided that they want to create businesses off of podcasting. They have strong opinions, or they just want clicks and views. And I think there are a lot of people fronting on camera. I think sometimes we come up here, all of us, and we don't tell the full truth about what we feel sometimes for one reason or another. I think that that's part of podcasting. I think people come up here and decide, well, here's the things I'm willing to say. Here's the things I'm not willing to say. I'll rip my shirt for views. I'll do this for views. And I think that podcasting is just this really interesting space today. And so my question, which is our last topic, is how do you guys feel about podcasting now that you are all podcasters and also listen to other podcasts? And so I'll start since I kind of already did. I think podcasting is awesome. I think it's awesome that today you don't have to be Will Smith or any of the people that we mentioned to have a platform, to share opinions and to share news. There are times when I put out a clip of my podcast or someone sends me a clip from a podcast and I'm like, oh, wow, I actually just learned a lot in that 1 minute clip. Or if people have messaged me, man, I didn't know that Montana passed a bill that did X, Y, and Z. That's pretty fly. Or before I had a podcast, when I was doing like the little sex talk clips and people were hitting me up, hey man, that shit you said in the video, I'm gonna try that on Tuesday when my lady friend comes over. And then they hit me back, hey, yo, that shit you said was good, man. That worked out. And so I never would have had that opportunity before, right? Before putting on, the cameras and doing all of these things. And then on the flip side, as a consumer, I like to listen to other people's podcasts. Tez had a podcast for a while. I was listening. Ness has a podcast. I listen to this podcast and all the other ones I recorded. I have friends who do podcasts that they don't have shit to do with what I'm into, but I listen. And I think it's an awesome space. And I think it is still in its early days, to be honest. But I think that podcasting is awesome. I think it allows everyone to have a platform and say the things they think and feel. And I think the flip side of that is you got to be careful what you take in and who you listen to. But I think, to answer the question, I think podcasting is awesome. Clearly, I enjoy it. I'm on 5 podcasts. Everybody knows I'm he who pods. You know what I mean? And so clearly I enjoy it. If I didn't, I wouldn't have created this one and been part of the other ones I'm a part of. Yeah, that's it. I think podcasting is awesome, but I've been podding for a hot minute. Me and Dre have Food, Fitness, and Fun, and that's been going for a while now. And then I've been part of others, but for some of you, this is more new than others. And so I thought it'd be interesting to answer from each individual perspective. So that's my thoughts. And what do y'all each feel about podcasting as a genre, as a business, or whatever, as a new space? And what do you feel about podcasting yourself?
Yeah, like you said, we have a podcast. And yeah, I agree. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think it has changed the game, right? It is a threat. It is a threat to traditional media. You know what I'm saying? Because yes, people are getting podcasts and they're getting a lot of views. And now these other venues, these other traditional media outlets are getting less. You know what I'm saying? Because people do feel that this is more authentic. People do feel like they relate to whatever. And then because there's so many podcasts, there's a lot of niche. So it's like I can listen to the news, and I do, but I want to hear something specifically about bodybuilding. So I listen to bodybuilders. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear something specifically about what's happening in Africa. So I might listen to a podcast directly about that. And so you get these like smaller stages, but way more interesting into what exactly you're interested in, and you just find these niches. And so I don't think podcasting is going anywhere. I feel you, Jay. I feel like it is still, at the beginning. And I always encourage people, like people like, oh, I'm thinking about doing one. Do it. Like, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't necessarily look at it as a business. I mean, it has a potential for business. It helps me with business. But my first thing with it for me, and we've talked about this first, like, it's fun. I get on this podcast because it's fun. It's a good way for me to like share my views about things, share my experience on particular things. And I love that, people are starting to do it. And there's a little bit of the Wild Wild West out there. It is kind of crazy. People are saying all kinds of crazy things, create all kinds of crazy podcasts, whatever. But, like you said, I listen to other people listen to ours. And, it's just another form of entertainment, another form of information for you to draw from and enjoy. I really see it, starting to grow, and I think it's dope.
And how do you feel as a podcaster? You've been podcasting for a few years now.
Yeah, I think it's great. So I feel like there's things that I get to talk about, and then I can point people to it, right? Because like you and I, when we get on there, we talk about things, exhaustively. We really try to tear things apart. And so a lot of times when people ask me questions, I'd be like, oh, you know what? I spent a lot of time talking about that on this. Let me send you the link, you know what I mean? And just like listen to that, because there's a lot of good information there. Rather than me like sitting here with you for an hour and 2 hours and you asking me all these questions and I really gotta go, that was the whole reason why we started the podcast, because I was just like, yo, I'm really tired of people stopping me and asking me, they'll ask the one question on top of the other question, on top of the other question, on top of the other, what's a good workout? What should I do? It's like, so let me just create a podcast and be like, yo, go there. Like now I really talk about diet, exercise, what I think is good, what I think is wrong, and these are my opinions, it's not written in stone, but this is the kind of way I see it. You sit there, you say your things. And so, yeah, as a podcaster, I think it's awesome that there's this platform that didn't take a lot of money, right? If this was like 20 years ago, I would have had to like pitch it to somebody and, hey, do you like this? And I'm trying to get on ABC, I'm trying to get on NBC, and for them to be like, no. Right. Well, now you don't hold the keys anymore. Now people can just, like you said, buy a light, get a laptop, get a mic, get some headphones, and go to town. You know what I'm saying? So the entry, the barrier entry is really small, and it gives everybody. It takes the keys away. It democratizes platforms. You know what I'm saying? It democratizes information. You know what I mean? So we all get to listen to what we want. We all get to put out information if we want to, and I think it's going in the right direction. That's how I feel.
So, and it helps. So sweat equity and democratizing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Duly noted. Sweat equity and democratizing. Duly noted. I heard it on Man Cave. Brother. Refer to episode 10. Democratizing. I can't explain it, but Dre can.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love the linguistics. You know what I mean? That I get from the pod. So I might as well should just jump right in since
go ahead.
Because
go in.
It's funny though, but I do have conversations with Jay, and like I tell him, I say, the pod is very informative, and aside from that, it's different personalities bonding together. You get what I'm saying? Month in and month out. And, we really get to learn from each other, based on our individual perspectives. And, even sometimes we do agree as one, but you know, when people do explain their individual perspective, you're like, okay, I never thought about it like that. You know, I find myself even referring back to the pod myself. You feel what I'm saying? I don't just direct people. I refer back to the pod myself as well. But I think there's a lot of growth in podcasting too. Like Jay was saying, be careful what you intake. But I do think the things that you can intake that you think is positive enough for you to help you grow, podcasting does help with that. You know, a few years ago, what would you refer to? You know, what would you look for? You know, yeah, they have books and stuff like that, but sometimes I like to see the podcast because you really get to grasp onto personality. You know, of course, after the topic we just spoke about, some of that personality might be in question. It might be in question, but you know, you get to see the charisma, the personality, and you get to take from it what you wish. I enjoy podcasting. I enjoy the whole entertainment realm. Oh, period. You feel what I'm saying? I just think podcasting just adds a whole different level to it for me. Now, you get what I'm saying? Aside from everything else that I've been involved in. So I would say, yeah, I enjoy it, and I think it's great. But you know, like you say, you have to be careful with some of the messages that's out there. I think some people, it's kind of dangerous when some people could just pick up and just jump in front of a camera and just say whatever without any merit. You know, because some people can't pick up on that.
Right.
Because one thing I want to say, I'm noticing that people take to people who are very like strong and passionate with their delivery too. So it's like you could get up there and say a whole bunch of nothing.
Yep.
But if you say it the right way, it could go viral and,
Right.
and hundreds and millions and thousands of people could see it, and it could draw all different types of influence. And before you know it, it's plastered everywhere. You get what I'm saying? And it's kind of hard to contain at that moment.
Yep.
So, you know, there are some pros and cons, but that's life.
That's
You get
true.
what I'm saying? That is life, you know. So free will, you know, do with that as you will.
Podcast
All right.
listener.
Tez,
I mean,
yes,
all I
next.
remember is Combat Jack. You know, evolved in the past. I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years. You know, I mean, I was in a big. Yeah, I like how podcasts have rest in peace, Combat Jack. You know, I remember him and Brilliant Idiots. Absolutely, Brilliant Idiots. You know, kind of
The OG, the
Taxstone
original.
had a good podcast. You know,
Wouldn't be possible without
Um,
Combat Jack.
and to see like from there, you know, Drink Champs. Well, Joe Budden did Drink Champs, Gilly and Wallow, all these cats coming out is you know, the thing to do. And but like everyone else said, yeah, you know, it's all about finding our podcast, and I enjoyed pushing myself out the box. Watching what you intake, you know, is always going to be about that. As far as me, I enjoy this. This is I like this. I enjoy this, so to speak, doing something that I wouldn't normally do, and you know, having good camaraderie and hearing different paths of thought. You know what I mean? I like how we come together in that way. You do a great job, but that's all I got to say.
I think the first part I would say podcasting is interesting because it's not new,
Right.
it's just more accessible, right? Because all it is radio show.
Yes.
That's basically all podcasting is. And just the fact that it is something that's more accessible seems natural. Just the way everything's progressed. Like once like YouTube became a thing and people could just make videos and post them to anybody and everybody, just like instantly make their own movies, vlog, and do all of that. And it just like is a natural next step because it's just like, hey, now people can just like express their opinions to everybody. And it just I think it's cool. It is like Dre said, a danger to like, you know, mainstream media in a sense, but also it has a different sense of danger, and that's just like that everybody has an opinion they can share. and that's the good and the bad as well. And it's wild when like people are out there pushing opinion as fact, or even just like misrepresenting information, like we were talking about, and misrepresenting things, and building a platform off of that is wild. But again, good with the bad. I mean, you get a lot more access to information this way as well, which is what I absolutely love. That's probably the biggest thing. Is one thing I've always loved is learning new information, and this is probably like just the easiest, fastest way. You just hit so many different topics. You have different types of pods that focus on specific things, and you can just learn so many things. And it's hilarious because it's the same thing with, like, say, TikTok. It's just minute bites of information. It's just like just thrown at you, and you get to learn new things, and it's like, that's actually kind of interesting. Let me look up on that, and you go further, dig deeper, find more. And I think that's really cool. Personally, with me, with podcasting, it's kind of, so like when I started, let's say with Unprofessionals, it was more of a way for me to practice getting my voice out there and whatnot, but also kind of a way to unmask, like, and be like my freest self, in a sense. Like, if you ever listen to me on there, I'm pretty animated sometimes.
It's like the Nestor I hang out with.
Right.
It's not professional Nestor. Hence the title.
So it's right. So yeah, so it was really an outlet in a sense, to be like that and be like just completely expressive. Whereas here, it's the same thing. I get to explore a different part of myself that I enjoy, which is like, oh, this is something I know about, and this is something I have an opinion on that I really want to express, and I try to express it in the most articulate or nuanced way. And that's the part I enjoy too, is the nuance of the topics that we discuss on here, and how it's for the most part, we may have like the same general opinion about most of the topics, but there is that much nuance on the topics where we're still not like on the same point.
Right, which is why me and Nestor debate every other pod.
So it's really fun. I mean, I definitely enjoy that part of it, that chance to hear that nuance, or to, well, that's a great point, but like this is where the perspective shifts, and all of that's really cool.
Okay. Tez?
I mean, I don't listen to podcasts at all. I don't. I'm done. I can't. There's nothing. I don't know. I don't know what it is with podcasts. My attention span, as I gotten older, has dwindled down to literally nothing. I used to, and I mean, there was a time when I was listening to Joe Budden a lot.
Religiously.
I mean, I want to say probably a little bit before you.
No, way before me. Way before me. Because I didn't listen to JBP a lot. Yeah, Joe Budden podcast specifically. I got no problem being honest. I didn't really listen to it a lot before they got the Spotify deal. Before that, it was sparingly. And a lot of times it was because you, Tez, would send me an episode and be like, yo, I don't know if you saw this one, but you got to listen to this one. Just, this shit is wild. I'm like, okay, Tez said listen, so I'm going to listen. Yeah. But I didn't listen to it religiously before the Spotify deal.
But it's just like, I don't know. And it's not just his podcast. A lot of podcasts I used to listen to a lot religiously. I'm just like, it's the same format. Everything is like, we talk, ad placement, talk, ad placement. I'm just like, it doesn't feel organic anymore. It doesn't feel like a natural conversation. for the most part for me, and it just feels force fed. And I've been listening to podcasts for. This is from when I started working my old job, my desk job, because just when you work a desk job, you need something to pass the time. I used to listen to an old podcast, which is the first wrestling podcast from a wrestler named Colt Cabana. It was good to hear like the wrestlers outside of the ring, outside of their turned up personalities and whatnot, and just hearing stories from them. But like after a while, it all became like, all right, what else is going on here? It's the same premise, right? You trained, you became this person, you went here, you went there, little tidbits here and there. At the end of the day, I just like, all right, I'm just not, there's something of substance here for me. And that's just me. I'm not knocking podcasts. I think podcasts is a great platform for everyone to utilize and to embrace and to have a place to, release their thoughts and opinions as long as they're healthy. And constructive, in my opinion, and I mean that's everybody's own opinion, but it's also a great place for friends to have open conversations about topics like that we have here, and we have good conversations and different perspectives because we all think. Everyone here thinks differently, especially when it comes to relationships. We all have a very different perspective. I'm not gonna say skewed. We have a very different perspective when it comes to relationships, whether it be age, whether it be experience, whether it be, taste and likes and dislikes. And it's great. That's what this is for. That's why this is great. But when it comes to podcasts as a whole, as I said, it's me. Jay and Nestor know I can't watch. I don't do movies.
Right.
They'll text me, yo, this movie's out. I don't give a shit.
Right.
Is it Terminator? Nope.
Right.
Is it The Matrix?
Is it Deadpool?
Yeah, that's it. There's only a select few that I'm like, I'm there.
Right.
But everything else, yo, you seen this movie? I don't care. You know why? Because Vin Diesel's in it, and I can't stand Vin Diesel. I'm not paying Vin Diesel a shitload of money just so I can wish he can die in a movie that he won't die in.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Damn, Taz.
Yes.
It's cold
I love
blooded,
it.
man.
I love it.
But
I'm glad he said that. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people feel the same way. A lot of people are like, "Hey, I don't fuck with podcasts." Like, yo, they don't fuck with it, and it's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I'm happy you said it.
I was talking about the Vin Diesel line. I was like, damn.
No, it's nothing negative to the podcast game. I mean, I've just been doing it long enough that I've had my fill. I've had my whatever
You outgrown
has been
it.
filled.
You
Been fulfilled. Yeah.
yeah. You
And there's times there's times when Jay will hit me up, yo, Joe Budden said this, and I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. And then I'm listening to the episode, I'm just like, this is supposed to be the point, but you guys are so frayed in your like where we're getting like we're talking about Angels, right? And then you're out of nowhere, we're talking about the Mets and every other thing in the world but the Angels. And it's just like, bro, like that's my problem with podcasts. Just the fact that it gets 1,000 different directions and we miss the angle. And I'm not saying that we're not guilty of it because we definitely do that here too. But as a listener myself, it's just like, bro, because how many times you send me like, oh, Rory and Mal have a beef with Joe, and I'm listening to this, I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? They're talking about like the price of tea in China. Right. And I'm just like, I don't care about this. I'm only here for what I want.
Right.
But that also segues to why podcasts works, right? Because we live, and I've said this before, we live in an on-demand industry, mindset. People don't understand how Netflix changed everyone's mind. And it came with Netflix and Spotify. I don't have to listen to what's on the radio.
Yep.
I have my phone. I don't have to watch what's on TV. I have Netflix. I don't have to listen to Rush Limbaugh, which nobody should. I don't have to listen to Rush Limbaugh on the radio. I can listen to the Man Cave, the Man Cave Monday. Right. You can listen to what you want when you want, and we live in that day and age. Yeah. And I said this before when it comes to relationships as well, and we could, tether it to like our core base, where we live in an on-demand era of relationships with Tinder and all these apps, and And that's shorty number one. Oh, she does the freaky Zeke. The other one does the freaky Pearlies, and they all play their parts.
Right.
And we live in that on-demand industry where I'm playing a part too. I'm not guilty of it. So it podcasting is, like I said, it's a great platform to be creative. It's a great platform to express yourself, and when done right, it can be therapeutic. It can be exhilarating. It can be a form of release where you feel like, that was great. I finally got my opinion off, or finally, even if one person heard what I said, they're like, all right, I feel satisfied knowing that I affected the change in someone's thought pattern. And to end it all, any form of creativity is always a blessing and a curse, because someone's going to make something negative out of it and someone's going to be positive out of it. When my daughter was young, I said, you know what? Let's get her Minecraft. Why? Because that game is nothing but creativity. It's a blank world that you create with what your imagination is, right? It's like our parents when they got us Legos, or if we got Legos, I didn't get Legos, I got Mega Blocks. But
some of us got Mega Blocks from the dollar store. You know what I mean?
Listen, we got what we
couldn't
got.
afford
I had
Legos.
both. I had both.
We got what we got.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the point being is that paintbrush that they gave us allowed us to express ourselves. And it wasn't just always video games. It wasn't always YouTube to stimulate us. It was our mind just allowing itself to be creative and building that muscle to be thoughtful and expressive. And that's what podcasting is. It's a vessel to be creative and thoughtful, because outside of the talking and the video, there's artwork that goes behind it. That's creativity that goes into that. Oh, there's new video software now. Maybe we could change it up a notch and do some superstar effects, or put in some stuff, wipe in a video, or do this and stuff. And, that's a lot of things that, again, creativity is meant for, and how it helps.
Yep.
But I digress on that.
No, that was great. And I think you brought up one great point I'd like to respond to before we close out. I think that, I think the problem is a lot of pods are too niche and don't stick to the topics even when they have them. And so that's why on this platform specifically, I try not to only speak about one thing. I want us to speak about everything and anything on this platform. Hot topics, the state of the dollar, what's your type, whatever. I want it to always be different, and us always bring different things to our listeners, our viewers. So it's not just, this is a relationship podcast, or this is the all men podcast where all they do is talk about red pill stuff, or, whatever. I don't want it to be so niche down, because I feel like each of us here have a lot of different things that we think, that we feel, that we're interested in. And so if there's a pod where we just going to talk about wrestling, all right, this episode we're going to discuss who is the best wrestler of the 90s. And that's fine. That's cool to do here, because we could talk about whatever in the man cave. You know what I mean? It's not anti-wrestling. So if Tez hits the chat and it's like, yo, fellas, what if one time we talk about who's the best wrestler of the 90s? That's not wrong. You know what I'm saying? And being off topic, everybody on podcasts veers way away from the topic. Like, niggas be like, all right, we're going to talk about Tez orange shirt. Somebody would chime in, but is it really orange? What's the definition of orange?
Shout out to House of Glory.
Orange. Define orange.
But then you just be talking about like Fruity Pebbles, and did you know there's an orange Fruity Pebbles? You'd be like, nigga, the topic was his shirt. What the fuck is going on? And so, yes, we're guilty of it too. But I try to steer the car back as often as possible. We're like, okay, but the topic is this, and so. Yeah, I agree. Those are great points I wanted to respond to. Podcasts are definitely guilty of both of those things. And I try to keep this pod specifically in those lanes, right? Where I don't want this to be some very niche specific podcast. Like, I don't know about y'all, but when people ask me like, oh, I see you got a podcast with a bunch of dudes on it. What y'all talk about? I'm like, anything. Like, it changes every episode. Like, even when it comes to, like you said, about relationships, every time we've spoke about relationships, it's been a different aspect. It's not like every month we come up here and speak about, all right, man, so what's your girlfriend got to do in the bedroom to get your dick hard? No, not every pod. No, that was one episode short.
I did say it. You got to wear that lace, though. What that ladies do
You know
though.
what I'm saying? But yeah, so
He
people
woke up
ask
for
me,
that. He woke up for that one.
right? He did. He
I'm
did.
saying.
You know what I'm saying? I
Gave
remember.
it some
The clips are
personality.
out there, right? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think that this should be a platform specifically where it's not so niche down. But look at the other side of the spectrum. Mine and Dre's pod, Food, Fitness, and Fun, is very niche down. We speak about mostly the same shit every pod. I mean, we add the fun part because the fun part switches. But you know, if you go listen to Food, Fitness, and Fun, you're getting some very specific things. You don't go to Food, Fitness, and Fun and be like, I wonder if they're going to speak about the state of the dollar this month. No, probably not.
Right. Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
not. And so I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, I think you're right. And that's it. I just want to respond to that. I think those were all great points. And I'm glad that everyone here is enjoying podcasting and enjoying being a part of the platform. You know, we in double digits now. It's been 10 months. I said, let's get an assessment. You know, maybe niggas don't like it. They just here because I asked them to. I don't know. But I'm curious because everyone's here. No one has complaint. No one's hit me on the side and been like, yo, but can I leave this motherfucker? Because I don't like none of y'all niggas, honestly. I really don't like none of y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Technically, it's been 11 months.
You're right.
We missed a month.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Facts.
But
next month is a year.
You're right.
no doubt.
You're right.
Yeah. But I wanted to say something before we sign off too, is that, what I really enjoy about the podcast is the drill down or the more information. So it's like, for instance, I'll watch a show, right? Let's say I'm watching like Vox Machina, I'm watching Succession or something like that. And I'm like, yo, I got mad feelings about what I just saw. I got mad questions about what I just saw. What happened with this? What happened with that? I'll listen to a Vox Machina podcast and be like, yo, that's what I was going to say. That's what I see. And then I learn more about it. Where it's like, oh no, this is like this is like borrowing from like Dungeons and Dragons. And it started this way. And the producer said this and the creator said this. And I'm like, man, by hearing this podcast, it just like, wow, blew my mind. Now I know way more about it. Where it's just like, I was just watching it because it was like a dope, anime. But now it's like,
Right.
I know so much more about it because I've tuned into this podcast. And now it's like every episode, I got to like listen to the podcast at the end to get this like deep dive information.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I really love about podcasts is like, yo, I can watch Succession and be like, that was weird. What's going on there? You know what? Podcast. And hear other people have the same feelings about what I'm feeling. And then a lot of times if it's the official podcast, they'll invite actors on and be like, yo, what was going on just then? And they'd be like, well, let me tell you. And they'd be like, oh, okay, that explains it. You know what I'm saying? So I do love that you can get a deeper dive on topics, and mostly they stay on topic about something that you was just like, man, yeah, I didn't know about that. So I just want to put that out there. Yeah.
Well, for me, I wanted to end my point by saying that I am a private person, and I do challenge myself with the music sometimes with that, but I do feel more challenged with that here because obviously there's questions that's being asked. We're all here. You know what I mean? I could be like, I plead the fifth, but on the 10th episode, somebody gonna be like, son,
Enough.
at some point you gotta say something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You just there pleading the fifth on every, I'm joking, but no, like it's making me think about myself introspectively. I'm saying like, you know what? Yeah, I'm a private person. There's some things like, cause I'm that's why with Dre, when you said that, I felt you on that. I'm like, I ain't really trying to let y'all know nothing. It's like, I ain't up here telling my business, but it does challenge you to think about yourself introspectively and do pose some of these questions within yourself where you say, you know what, I wouldn't mind answering that on the pod. I wouldn't mind having that conversation with the guys in Man Cave. And through that conversation, then, the spectators could learn as well. Like, oh, well, I ain't know that about Days. It's like, well, I felt comfortable sharing that with my guys. The benefit is on camera.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to share that.
No,
'cause
that's a
person.
great point. It's a great point because we each have things we don't want to share. And so that is one of the challenges of podcasting that actually we probably thought of but didn't really say, right? There's things where sometimes we come up here, and even Tez did it. Tez, I remember one of the episodes, he hit me privately and was like, yo, when we speak about XYZ, I ain't saying shit. I said, all right, my guy, listen, I got you, no problem. But then if you watch the episode, I'll let y'all figure it out. Afterwards, he came back and was like, all right, you know why last topic I ain't say nothing? Here's why. And then he says some personal stuff. And I was like, all right. So he changed his mind. He feel good now. It's cool. He feel comfortable enough to share. But that is one of the challenges. It's like, all right, maybe you just went through a breakup, or maybe Days just pissed me off right before I press record, or maybe there's something that happened with my kid. Like, you don't know. Like, there's so much shit that you often have to ask yourself. Like, all right, like when we speak on food, fitness, and fun, we're very transparent about how much we have been working out, or what we changed, or how we went out to eat and we should be cooking. But I don't do that everywhere. Like, on some podcasts, I don't feel very comfortable speaking about certain things. So I got to hold back. Or I come up here, like I said, when we first started this topic, I know sometimes we talk about shit and y'all are holding back. I'm like, all right, I know that's not how so-and-so feel. We're going to talk off pod about it. And so, but that's definitely one of the challenges. That's a great point, because it's like, even when you share, how much are you willing to share? Like, what's the cap?
Right.
Like, do I want to tell y'all, hey, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, or do I just want to tell you about 1, 3, and 5? And so, you know, that is something that I try to keep. Like my solo pod, I don't usually speak about personal stuff on Sexual Intellectual. On my solo pod, I try to keep it very objective, more maybe about opinion, but especially when I'm speaking about like the sexual topics, I don't usually say I like this toy, or I don't like this position, or I have done this, or I have not done that. Or I try to keep that more of like an educational piece and less about my personal experience. So it is one of the challenges, and that was a great point to bring up. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Ness.
I definitely like I kind of enjoy that challenge too, because like, for example, with the poly conversation, I approached it as more of an informative thing where I was putting things out, and because, you know, my wife didn't want any of like our personal information actually like being discussed, I had to approach it and find a way to like, well, these are, you know, how these things work without actually using my relationship as an example. So it was definitely a challenge, and it was like, okay, I think I'm ready for this challenge, because it's definitely something I wanted to talk about like almost since the first episode when it was brought up. But it was like, okay, I want to do that while respecting what she wants, what she doesn't want being put out there.
No, yeah, because podcasting shouldn't ruin your life.
Right.
Like,
right.
Especially if ain't nobody getting paid. Like, if we ain't making millions of dollars, I don't want to lose my friends and family for no-ass reasons, son.
Son, that was the drop. Please, let that be the drop. Podcasting shouldn't ruin your life. That was so perfect.
Yeah, like
that was perfect, though.
Thank you. Yeah.
Smoke bomb.
Smoke bomb. Wow. Yeah, podcasting shouldn't ruin your life. So I agree. Great point. And I think that's where we close. Unless anybody has a last thought, everybody ready to go? Sweet. Okay, well, listeners, viewers, thank you for being here. My lovely, talented, wise co-hosts, thank you for being here. And I hope that you've been... Go ahead, Tez.
I'm sorry. First off, I know it was last month. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers. And also, by the time this airs out, should be happy Father's Day to all fathers as well.
That's right.
Let's go.
That's right. And we hope you found some value in this episode. And we will see y'all next month on Man Cave Monday.